Hi, and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's Game of Thrones Season 6 predictions video for Cersei. This video is a part of a series of videos where I give my predictions of what I think will happen in Season 6 of Game of Thrones, focusing on a different character every week. This video is for my predictions on what I think will happen with the character of Cersei Lannister in Season 6. So I have to give a spoiler warning for all of Game of Thrones up to Season 5, a spoiler warning for Song of Ice and Fire novels. If you have not read the novels up to A Dance with Dragons, you may not want to watch this video, as I give away specific spoilers from that book. Also, spoiler warning for Season 6 filming and production leaks. If you don't want to know anything about what's been confirmed for Season 6, this video may not be for you. So, in Season 5, Cersei had quite the character journey. At the start, we learned that she had received a prophecy as a child that a younger, more beautiful queen will replace her and take all that she holds dear. And then we cut to the present, where Margaery marries Tommen and starts to take him away from her and slowly starts to take all of her control over the kingdom away from her. So this leads her to make some devious and backstabbing plans to try to overthrow and get rid of the Tyrells. So she makes a bargain with a radical man of faith and gives him power. In exchange, he arrests the Tyrells for lying about Loras's homosexuality. Just when Cersei is all proud and smug and thinks that she's hot shit for getting rid of Loras and Margaery, her plan backfires on her in the worst way when she herself is arrested for sleeping with her own cousin and plotting to kill King Robert. And then the season ends with her having to suffer through a horrible public humiliation, but she gets a great warrior to be her champion in the form of the reanimated body of the Mountain, who in his post-mortem state is stronger than ever. So her Season 5 storyline was basically a chess game between her and the Tyrells, and I don't think that game has ended. It will continue onward into Season 6. Although now Cersei has lost her power because of the public humiliation, no one's going to listen to anything she says, and the kingdom is now being controlled by her uncle Kevin, who wants to make the alliance between the Lannisters and Tyrells work. So Cersei's Season 6 storyline will start off slowly with a lot of dialogue scenes. She will have it out with Kevin, who will not want to listen to anything she says, as they will have to decide what is to be done with her, and she's still going to be on trial by the Faith Militant. She will want to disregard them, but Kevin won't allow her to, as thanks to her, they hold too much power over the city. She will also have it out with Tommen, who will also want her to appease the Faith Militant because they are still holding Margaery. In fact, I predict a big falling out with Tommen and Cersei, as Tommen will start to turn on her as he starts to suspect her role in what happened to Margaery. In fact, I think someone like Lady Olenna or Littlefinger might have a part to play in making Tommen more aware of this, so eventually he refuses to speak to her. Then things will only get worse for Cersei when Jaime returns to King's Landing to reveal Myrcella is dead. She'll be enraged at Jaime, as she would have been eagerly awaiting his return in order to have an ally. Now she will be furious at him and will not want much to do with him. There's also been a rumor that would suggest that Cersei would blame Tyrion for Myrcella's death, but that seems a bit far-fetched to me, although I suppose it's possible. Either way, Cersei will know that Dorne was responsible for her death and will want to declare war on them, but of course Uncle Kevin won't go along with this at all, as his sights will be set on the upheaval that is happening in the Riverlands instead. As to the trial the Faith Militant want to have for her, Cersei will demand a trial by combat and will demand Sir Robert Strong be her champion. Jaime and Kevin will urge against this, but she won't listen to either of them. Meanwhile, Tommen will disappear in the middle of the night, and he would have been spotted going into Baelor's Sept. Believing that the Faith Militant now holds him, Kevin and Mace Tyrell will send in a joint force of Tyrell soldiers and Kingsguard to the Sept to break him out by force, led by Jaime of the King's Guard. However, when they get there, they'll discover that Tommen had went there of his own free will, and that Tommen and Margaery are now completely devoted to the faith. Tommen will actually believe in it, but of course Margaery will just be playing them in order to get out of her predicament, much in the same way Cersei did. However, Margaery will be much better at it, as nobody puts on a convincing facade better than Margaery. So she will not have to endure any type of walk of shame. Instead, that they will simply let her go. She will have a trial pending, but one that she'll be convinced she can win. She'll also talk them into temporarily releasing Loras, although his situation will be slightly more precarious and his trial outcome not as sure. During this time, Mace Tyrell would have returned from Braavos to find Lady Olenna pissed at him, and he'll bring legions of Tyrell troops into King's Landing as a show of force against the Faith Militant. Although this move will help contribute to their defeat in the Reach by the Ironborn, which I talk more about in my Theon video. After that occurs, Mace will send some troops back to the Reach to protect their borders from the Ironborn. As far as the Lannister armies goes, a big chunk of them will be led by Jaime, will be sent to the Riverlands to deal with the Stark Loyalists, and I talk more about this in my video for Jaime, as the Stark Loyalists have taken Riverrun from their Frey allies. Meanwhile, Cersei will deal with her trial by combat, which I am of the very strong opinion will not be Clegane Bull. I was never a fan of the Clegane Bull theory, at least not as far as Cersei's trial by combat is concerned, as Sandor would have been in too injured of a state to pose any threat to Frankenmountain, aka Robert Strong. And besides, if his show storyline follows the same as his book did, and I think it will, the Hound will be dead, and Sandor will be reborn as a man of peace, and therefore would not be fit at all to participate in a trial by combat, and would not be any match for the frickin' Frankenmountain. Instead, what I think will happen is that after Cersei demands a trial by combat, the High Sparrow will demand that it is a trial by 7, which is a trial by combat where 7 fighters fare off against 7 other fighters. However, Cersei will not find 7 worthy fighters who are willing to fight for her, so she will send Frankenmountain in on his own to face off against 7 of the best Faith Militant warriors. Everyone will think she's insane, but Qyburn will assure her that he will win, and he does. In an awesome combat, Frankenmountain takes down 7 dudes on his own, and Cersei is by law declared innocent of the crimes she is accused, and more than that, Cersei would have gained the fear of all those around her as they know how badass Frankenmountain is, and he is her personal soldier. I believe this will happen by the end of episode 6. So Cersei will become a force to be reckoned with, but the only thing keeping her in check is Kevan, who single-handedly is maintaining the Lannister-Tyrell alliance that is keeping them strong and firmly in control of King's Landing. However, a few people won't want them firmly in control of King's Landing and will purposely want to sabotage the Lannister-Tyrell relationship, and the best way to do that is to kill Kevan, the man single-handedly holding it together. So just like in the books, the man to kill Kevan will be Varys, who, as I mentioned in my Tyrion video, would have left Meereen mid-season to prepare for Daenerys' arrival in Westeros, and that preparation specifically will be to kill Kevan. Now, I know in the books he kills Kevan in preparation for young Griff's arrival. However, I believe the show will change this, and it will be in preparation for Daenerys' arrival, which will come much sooner in the show than it will in the books, as she will take on the role that young Griff plays in the books, because I believe he will be cut from the show entirely. This is also why Kevan's death is coming later in the show than it did in the books, because it has to happen closer to Daenerys' arrival. So Varys will kill Kevan and Maester Pycelle just like he did in the books at the end of episode 7. I believe the last we would have seen of Varys would have been him saying goodbye to Tyrion and Meereen. Then several episodes later, he'll pop up in King's Landing and kill Kevan. So, with Kevan's death, Cersei will again assume the power of the throne and the Lannister forces, and she will be just as careless as Varys is hoping that she will be. Her first act will be to send a massive Lannister army to Dorne to conquer them as payback for Myrcella's death. This will lead the Lannister forces spread extremely thin, as a large chunk of their army is already in the Riverlands fighting the Stark loyalists, but Cersei won't care. She will just be blinded by her need for revenge for Myrcella's death. She will also more brazenly move against the Tyrells and will send Sir Robert Strong, aka Frankenmountain, on a mission to kill Margaery. This mission will be unsuccessful, and instead he'll kill Mace Tyrell in the process. Lady Olenna would have known exactly who was responsible for Mace's death and will officially end the alliance between the Lannisters and the Tyrells, and will send a force to arrest Cersei and have the Tyrells take full control over the throne. The Lannister and Tyrell forces will square off within the Red Keep, bringing things to a standstill where each force holds part of the castle but not the castle entirety. In the meantime, even though Cersei would have been clear of the charges she was charged with, those charges included sleeping with her cousin and trying to kill King Robert. Those charges did not include incest with her brother and the fact that her 3 children were illegitimate. Now, it has been a popular fan theory that Littlefinger's gift to Lady Olenna in Season 5 was Gendry, to which Olenna would use to prove that Cersei's children were illegitimate, and forgive me, but I'm going to be extremely blunt here. That theory is one of the most ridiculous Game of Thrones theories I've ever heard, and it has not an ounce of possibility of being true. First off, it's born out of a misunderstanding of that scene where Littlefinger talks about a gift, as clearly he's talking about Lancel and using him to arrest Cersei. If you watch that episode again, it's very clear this isn't a matter open to debate, as I'm sick of arguing with people who are being too thick-headed to see this. If you refuse to see this, I want no part in it, as frankly it really pisses me off, and I'm going to be a total asshole about it once it's proven that Lancel was Littlefinger's gift, which will probably come in the DVD commentary, so just wait for my gloating video about that. Anyway, another reason that this theory is really stupid is because it supposes that Lady Olenna would want to prove Tommen is illegitimate. Why the hell doesn't she just take a crossbow and shoot herself in the foot, which would be essentially what she'd be doing, as if Tommen loses his claim to the throne, then so does Margaery, as she has already consummated her marriage to him, so they're committed all the way to Tommen being king, and if Margaery loses her claim, so do the Tyrells, so no way in hell would any of the Tyrells try to prove Tommen is illegitimate. However, just because the Tyrells wouldn't want to prove this doesn't mean the same holds true for the High Sparrow and the Faith Militant. In fact, in Season 5, the High Sparrow asks Cersei about the rumors of incest with Jaime, so he does suspect this. And I predict that in Season 6, the High Sparrow will find proof that Cersei's children are Jaime's, not Robert's. Now, whether this be Gendry or something else, I'm not sure. I'm leaning more towards Gendry not being involved, and that he has some sort of other proof. Maybe he just suspects, and he holds a trial to declare it legal that Tommen is illegitimate. So while the Lannisters and the Tyrells are feuding in the Red Keep and fight to a standstill, the Faith Militant will seize complete and total control of King's Landing, even taking control of the City Watch. The High Sparrow will legally declare Tommen's rule illegitimate, which would cancel any claims that either the Lannisters or the Tyrells have, and since Robert Baratheon had no true living heirs except distant relatives, the High Sparrow will claim ownership of the crown to the faith and declare himself king of the Seven Kingdoms and hold both Tommen and Margaery hostage, and will promise only to release them if the Lannisters and Tyrell forces leave King's Landing entirely, giving the crown to them. And both the Lannisters and the Tyrell forces and King's Landing will be diminished, as most of the Lannister forces will be in the Riverlands fighting the Stark loyalists, or in Dorne trying to get revenge for Marcella's death, and most of the Tyrell forces will be in the Reach trying to fight off the Ironborn invasion, leaving the Faith Militant with the clear advantage in King's Landing. And that's how Cersei's season 6 storyline will end, on that cliffhanger, with the Lannister and Tyrell forces at a standstill in the Red Keep, and with the Faith Militant in complete and total control of King's Landing, with them holding Tommen and Margaery hostage. Also, just to put all of my predictions into context, I'm saying season 6 will end with a standstill between the Lannisters, Tyrells, and Faith Militant in King's Landing, and with Daenerys joining her Unsullied and Dothraki forces with the might of Dorne, who easily defeat the Lannister invasion force, and then they'll be on their way to take King's Landing. While at the same time, Euron Greyjoy and his enhanced Ironborn forces will be on their way to take King's Landing as well, setting up for an epic Tarantino-type battle on a grand scale in King's Landing in season 7, where things are going to be fucked up. Plus, Jorah will be there in King's Landing with his grayscale. I'm just saying. If you want to hear more about these predictions, you can watch my How Game of Thrones Will End update video. I'll put a link in the description below for that video. So that's how I think things will go down in season 6 of Game of Thrones. As always, these predictions are all just wild shots in the dark. If I get at least 20% of these correct, I will consider them a resounding success. So that's it for my season 6 prediction videos for Cersei, which is my final character-based season 6 prediction video. I have one more Game of Thrones season 6 predictions video left, which is my Who's Going to Die video, which will come out next week, and that will be it for my Game of Thrones Season 6 prediction video series. However, in the new year, I will continue with Game of Thrones Season 6 videos, as any new information comes out via the trailers or behind the scenes specials, announcements, or other important leaks. I will make videos about that, and I will continue to keep updates on the countdown to Season 6 up until it starts. So make sure you subscribe so you can keep up with all that. Thanks a lot for watching.